Rhythm Republic Radio, a new global groove.
Hello and good evening, this is Russ 8889 and I'm excited tonight. Yes, I use the word excited because I don't use it very often. I'm excited because I've had the opportunity to interview Screamin Rachael. What can I say about Screamin Rachael? Wow. So firstly, she's the owner of Trax Records. She produced and has kept alive house music. She is the first person to make a hip house record, the first person to make a house record with fantasy. She's an actress, she's a journalist, she's a DJ, she's a record company owner who believes in what she does and has never sold out to the majors. So this is a real, true, interesting story about music. She is truly an incredible person and give up her time on Christmas Eve to allow me to do this interview. So without holding up any more time, let's get into the interview. Thank you so much, Rachael, for joining me today on Christmas Eve. So Merry Christmas to you.
And Merry Christmas to you and all the listeners. And whether they're, Hanukkah people or any other kind of Kwanzaa, I wish them all a Happy New Year. And that's coming up.
And that's the actual thing for you. You embrace everybody, right? Like that's been that's set in your bones. You don't care, who the person is, what they believe in. As long as they get under one roof and want to have a good time together, everybody's welcome, right?
That's it. I think that a lot of people have these prejudices, especially I see more prejudice today than I ever saw even when I was growing up. I think that there's a whole political agenda that's right now trying to put people apart. If you're Latino, then they're going into this immigrant thing, that we don't want you. If you're black, then it's like, well, we don't trust white people. And, it's this kind of division that they're trying to pump into people's minds. And I think that the best part of house music has always been that it's, we're all in one house. We all just want to love the music and love each other. And I think, that speech, you may be black, you may be white, you may be Jew or you may be Gentile. It don't make a difference in our house. And this is fresh. That is something that I believe I live by. And I hope a lot of the people that love house music live by it too.
Yeah, I mean, you're the very person that's brought them people together, right? Like you are, you're Rachael of Trax Records, like one of the most incredible record labels and important labels for house music and its history.
And I think the thing about it that's important really is that all these years I could have made a lot more money by selling it, but I was never interested in doing that because I was really interested in the movement and what it meant to people and how much I felt it could change the world. There are a lot of people out there that have the wrong opinion, that think I'm this rich lady. That is far from the truth. I struggled a lot just to keep this company, and I struggled because most major labels, the first thing that they want to do, or, we are distributed by a major, but we're independently owned. And these days, there are hardly any independently owned labels. And in fact, these days, even as far as artists go, even as far as major artists, everyone is selling catalogs. I don't know what's going to be happening, but all I can say is that the whole industry is going along the lines of that everything independent that's kind of well known is being gobbled up. And when I wouldn't sell to certain people, they tried to sue me or discredit me or make people believe things that weren't true. Like, they made some artists believe I was really rich, but what I was really doing is barely making it because I had to spend mostly everything I made to defend keeping the label. And that was because I believed in the movement, and also because I really believed that we still have a way to go. And we do, because the more people that we can get that are interested in this music and that are following, what we believe in, I think the better the world will be. I remember a guy that worked for me that said, I think that if house music, was known more around the world, people would put down their guns and they would dance. And I like that idea.
Yeah, no, and totally. I mean, dance music from 1985, 86 to what we know it as now, I mean, it's a whole genre. There's so many subgenres that come out of it. Like, and there you, like, I'm gonna, I've done some questions and I'd like to sort of bounce back. It kind of relates. So it says, so you come up in the clubs of Chicago during a time when house music didn't even have a name yet. So what do you remember most vividly about the early nights in the clubs and the feeling that St. New was being born in your city?
Well, the interesting part about it is it was really born in the warehouse district, and that's how house got its name eventually, because it would be like, I'm going down to the house, to
Which
hear the
was
music.
the warehouse. Club,
right? But it wasn't, what a lot of people don't know is, yes, it was the warehouse, but it was other warehouses too. Because, for instance, I was in a warehouse called the Space Place. The Space Place was right around the corner from Frankie Knuckles' warehouse. The Space Place had punk rock and new wave and, rock and roll, even like, hard rock and metal and things like that. So I think the combination of what began happening because these were all ages parties. That was one thing. They were not nightclubs, so they were all ages. So I think the idea that the kids could actually go and, experience both types of things, more like Frankie at the time was still making his own mixes, but house music was just beginning to be recorded. In fact, I made the first house record, but what I remember most vividly is the cross-section of the way the music came together. The way it came together because you had people of these various genres that started getting together. Young people that couldn't go to bars yet, so they were experiencing a cross-section in a town, which Chicago at the time, during, like, let's say the mid-'80s on, maybe, kind of semi-early to mid-late 80s, it was still very divided as far as, the black community, the white community. And it was this music scene in the warehouses that brought it all together. And it was actually this cross-section of people that changed the music and created the house sound.
So your earliest release on Trax Records, My Main Man, is now considered a piece of house music history, right? So did you have any sense at the time that this Trax and the Trax catalogue would become like foundational to the global movement that house music is at? Sorry, I'll untie my tongue. Foundational to the global movement that house music has become to us now.
Well, in a way I did. It's funny because in a way I did. I remember that Farley Jackmaster Funk, who's another, legend in house music. I remember when we were working together and we just said, I remember saying, I don't really care if my music ever gets on the Billboard charts or ever gets recognized that much. We're doing our music that we believe in and love our way. And I remember, he was agreeing it was a mission, but we believed that one day the world would understand it. Somehow there was so much excitement in Chicago at the time. And it's funny because if you really look back historically to what was going on. Like, you know, Spin Magazine, I think it was in 1986 that Spin Magazine actually came to Chicago and they interviewed us all. And it was like, at the time, people were just starting to even hear the word house. You know, it wasn't a known thing. But they had come because this very clever promoter that I knew, whose name was Louis Pitsley, he's now passed away. He actually invited like 8 journalists to fly over from the UK. And then when they did the stories in The Face and ID and all the UK magazines, Melody Maker, everybody did house stories about us. After that happened, then Spin came to Chicago. So it was kind of like that. And when I made My Main Man, what was really unusual about that, now that wasn't the first house record I did, because the first house record I actually did was called Fantasy. And at the time, it wasn't even known. Yeah, it wasn't even known as house.
So, yeah, I mean, so you talk about Fantasy, and I think of Fantasy, and I think of Trax Records, like tracks like Mystery Girl that was around the same sort of era, right?
Yep. Well, Fantasy came about because my manager, which was J.B. Ross, who's now passed away, he was the attorney for James Brown, and he worked with the Shy-Lights and Gene Chandler, who did Duke of Earl. But anyway, it was, you know, growing up around all this. I mean, they weren't the popular people that we knew of at the time. Their time had been pretty much long past. But still, having J.B. as a manager, and then Vince Lawrence, his dad, you know, they were like, we're looking for a female vocalist. We want a female vocalist to sing this song that we have. And at the time, I was really noted for my punk rock, because that's what I was doing with the Space Place before I went to Frankie's Warehouse, right?
Yeah.
And so
you've actually done a punk rock record, haven't you?
Oh, yes. Yes, I did.
So,
As a matter of fact, if you get my album Queen of House, which is available digitally, I wish it was all available on vinyl too, but it's not. There is actually one vinyl record you could get of my punk rock. So that's very rare. It's on a 45.
So was that your earliest recording that you've done?
Yes, the punk rock was my first recording ever. After that, I did Fantasy for Jesse Saunders and Vince Lawrence with them. You know, it was the three of us who really made what everybody considers the first house record. They will even say Fantasy was recorded before On and On, because they always make a big deal like On and On was the first house record, but it was the first released on vinyl. Fantasy came after that because they just happened to release Fantasy first. But what was recorded first was Fantasy, and On and On, On and On was released on vinyl first, but Fantasy was recorded first. And Fantasy became the first house record that really started to be played on the radio in Chicago. Now, radio around the world hadn't really gotten into, you know, the house sound yet, but Fantasy, like Spin Magazine called it Blondie on a beatbox budget, because that's what it was like, you know, very like, and then The Face, which was a big London magazine, they said it sounded like Fantasy was made on toy instruments, you know, but they liked it. I mean, it was still cool, you know. So, yeah, I mean, and then My Main Man, what's really interesting about My Main Man, which is one of the first records on Trax Records itself, My Main Man, even though people don't credit it this way, and I really haven't pushed the fact that it's this, it was the first house record to really have record scratching on it by Africa Islam, who was a part of the Universal Zulu Nation that I met from Bambaataa. So in a way, that was kind of the first hip house record. Because
so what did you do? So you moved from Chicago to New York. So how old was you when you moved to New York? But was that for musical reasons, or did you just go to check out the big city?
No, I went to New York because we had gone to, like, me, Jesse, Vince, a number of us from Chicago had gone to what was then known as the New Music Seminar in New York. And we, for some reason, kind of made a big splash, whereas Streetwise Records that had Colonel Abrams, Lolita Holloway, New Edition, Apache Ramos, who starred in the movie The Warriors, found me, met me, loved my song, My Main Man. And that was even before it was released on Trax, signed me to Streetwise Records.
Okay.
And the thing was, so Streetwise Records brought me to New York, and it was a big deal. All these magazines were saying how, she's got a $1 million deal, because that's what it was supposed to be, this really big thing. She's going to be the next Madonna. She's going to this and that, okay? So that's what was happening with that. Now, Streetwise, they got sued by New Edition. They closed their doors. And I made a decision that, you know what, even though, because when I first got there, everybody was so excited and writing about me and the Queen of House and all these things that they were doing.
Yeah.
And everything looked wonderful because I had money to live in the Royalton Hotel and a suite, and, it was great. Yeah. But then when everything fell apart and I didn't have any money, I still decided I'm going to stay in New York, and I'm going to really try to make something happen here. And, and that's what I did. And I guess that's why, I started beginning to have the hip hop influence, because I met the hip hop people. Apache introduced me to the Rocksteady crew, which are the dancers that first unveiled breakdancing in the movie Flashdance. So I met the Rocksteady crew. I met the TC5, which were, there you go. It's funny that you have that, because those are my guys. I have the original tour jacket from Crazy Legs when they did their first world tour. So I have that, that's something in my collection that I really treasure and love, And so those people started really influencing me, because Apache knew all the hip hop people and the breakers and Bambaataa and all those people. And then, that's how I started doing the hip house and introducing that. But before I did leave Chicago, I did a few groundbreaking records, because I actually did record My Main Man in Chicago. I recorded something on another label that you probably haven't heard of, a label called Warrior. Very hard to get, but I recorded a song on Warrior called La Vie. And that's one of my, but it became a single. And actually, it was, one of the 33, singles that came out as a dance single on Warrior Records. And Fantasy. So actually, I had those 3 records plus my punk record before actually, My Main Man hadn't been pressed on vinyl yet, but those are all the songs that I had done before I actually got to New York. And they are probably part of the reason I got to New York, got my big record deal, and was supposed to be like this Madonna.
So, that's amazing.
It's a crazy story, but I think that New York was a great thing for me, because without New York, I would have never met Africa Bambaataa. I would have never met Grandmaster Melly Mel. I would have probably never decided to actually run a record company, because what inspired me was meeting Sylvia Robinson from Sugar Hill. Yeah. Because when I lost my record deal, that's when I met Sylvia.
Okay, so you done Fun with Bad Boys with Africa Bambaataa, and that led to hip house, which hadn't even been invented yet. So you stepped up, and all of a sudden you suddenly invented a new genre between the pair of you.
Well, that happened because I remember Bambaataa and I were in the studio, and we were talking, because he was a very good friend. And I said, we ought to bring the 2 greatest street music of the world together. And he said, hip house. And we came up with that idea. And then, I decided, well, let's make, we have a house beat. Actually, we worked with Farley Jack Master Funk on that record too, who was very instrumental in house music. A lot of people don't realize because a lot of things, well, people recognize him in house music, but they don't recognize that one of the most important things about Farley is he was part of what's called the Hot Mix 5. And the Hot Mix 5 were the first to really break house music on the radio in Chicago. That was a big thing. So, in fact,
turn around and stuff,
Yeah, I mean, so it's, you know, a lot about house history, so you know these things. So yeah,
I mean,
that's how that happened.
UK, in the UK, like before house, like you was having in Chicago, we was being fed stuff in the UK, and that was more, at the time, it was called jacking house. It wasn't called house. It was called jacking house. It was like, jack your body and that sort of stuff that come after what you'd already laid the foundations down to, right?
Well, true, but the interesting thing is what you're talking about. I remember that in the UK, there was a guy called Mahesh Bajaj, was one of them. And there was, I forget what the other guy's name was. But anyway, those two guys basically started licensing music out of Chicago. And they had a series called Jack Tracks. And I do remember that series, Jack Tracks
albums.
See, you probably even might have that on vinyl, because there is the Jack
Tracks albums up on my shelf.
Yeah, see, so I know about those. Because what was happening was, Trax, I think we mentioned it before, was born out of a vinyl pressing plant. So that's how a lot of things like, DJ International started pressing there. Other labels started pressing out of the Trax pressing plant. So a lot of, and I think what it was really, when we did what we did, like with Fantasy, and then I got my big deal out of New York, and then I know Jesse and Vince got a big deal out of LA, people started taking us out of our city. But because of what we did in the city, a lot of other, young people started making house records too. So it was flourishing in Chicago. It really was. And then, of course, Chicago became the Mecca back then because other people in New York and places like that hadn't started doing it yet. So Chicago kind of was the Mecca.
Okay, so Trax is known for its like raw DIY energy from its pressing plant days that you talked about. So to the underground club circuit it is now. Like you embrace, so like you're saying there, DJ International and other labels will come into you to get the stuff done. So you suddenly become like the buzz of where it was all happening, right? Like
we were definitely.
You was, at the centre of it. I know there was stuff going off in Canada, and it was slowly leaking out into, across. In the UK, we were sucking it up. Like the guy for one old was coming back from Ibiza and then starting up clubs and doing all the stuff that he was doing, and that's how the sound got introduced to us. It was that sound. It was when I can remember when on Top of the Pops, like artists were getting on there with house music. I was like, I can't believe this, like I could suddenly show me mum and dad, look, this is what I go out to, this is what I'm talking about, because it was still such a very underground thing. It wasn't it hadn't really burst into the doors in England until 89, 90, it was still very much house music from 87 onwards for a good couple of years.
Oh yeah, I mean the buzz happened in Chicago, and like I said, the journalists from the UK brought it back to the UK where it exploded, larger than life. I remember, me going to New York and, starting to make records there, and my records becoming popular brought the sound to New York. I remember when I brought Fun with Bad Boys to Little Louis Vega, who who at the time was freestyle. And now, Little Louie Vega is considered totally house and one of the main figures in house music. But, when you also asked me about this DIY energy, that's one of the things you asked about.
Yeah.
So the thing is, I balance it because actually to this day, we still do a lot of gritty, simple DIY things. When we do music, we're still doing it kind of the way we always did it. We're not really...
The old school way, right?
Yeah, we're not trying to, let's say, make hit songs. I don't know, but, maybe that's to my detriment, but I just make songs. That's what I do. And that's what I love, And it's still very, very... I think what I'm seeing a lot with even, the younger people that have come to the label, because we have a lot of, newer artists that are very young. I think what they're doing is they're almost circling back. They're not trying to circle back, but they're doing that more simple, stripped down DIY type of sound. I think the original sound of house that we had is kind of making, in its own way, I wouldn't say a return because it's never gone away. But I think that for a while, people were trying to maybe make more sophisticated house. I don't think Trax ever tried to do that, but Trax has always just done what we do. And from the very beginning, people say, well, hasn't your sound really changed a lot? And I say, not really, because if you think about it, when Acid Trax was out, and Acid Trax and Move Your Body and those songs like Love Can't Turn Around, none of those three songs are anything like the other. So there was this whole thing where I think what tied house music together was the beat, the beat that you could dance to, and that was what tied it all together because there's so many different styles or ways to do it. There were songs that, for instance, there are a lot of songs that came out on the label that were really maybe more structurally songs than some of the things I do or some of the things that the other artists do. But still, I would say that the heart of it is that we just, we have this beat that people universally love to dance to. And I think that's something that the rawness, though, is still there. The experimental part is still there.
Your Trax Records, so you still got that DIY raw energy. You're still making stuff the way that everybody used to make records, right? Like the way that used to be done. You used to go, you used to press stuff, you used to get it done. But now... when I was pressing vinyl, it used to cost me £2 to get a record, to get the label, get the cover, not just a blank cover, right? But just, again, just using two colours because it keeps the cost down. Trax is very well known for its red and white label. It's something that drew me to Trax Records because it was recognisable, that the quality was always there. When I went record shopping, if you was flicking through the records and you would see a new release from Trax, like normally it would be in that red label. Sometimes you did go blue and sometimes you did use other colours, but the majority of the time you've kept the same thing. You haven't felt the need to, we're suddenly, we're in 2025, let's make our logo look all 3D and all magical. You don't need to do that. You've kept the heritage of Trax Records all the way through its history.
Well, we have, and the thing that's interesting about it is it all happened as a happy accident, to tell you the truth, because here's the thing. It's like you said, saving money, doing things, cheaply. We used to actually, well, Larry, because he was the designated adult. Larry Sherman was the designated adult who really, started the label. And he was a business person, and he was older than us, and he made it all happen in many respects, although our music and a lot of our ideas. But I remember how Trax got its name. I know why Trax is spelled the way it's spelled. And, it's interesting because we were talking, Larry and I, and we were talking about, well, okay, this music isn't really songs exactly. It's really more like tracks. So then Larry couldn't spell, which was a lucky accident, because he spelled it Trax. And that's why we're even able to trademark that, because thinking back then, the spelling was unusual. It wasn't part of the cultural lexicon yet. I think it has now become.
I mean, it's weird, right? Because here, years later, so in the 90s when I started making music, like I called myself Dog Tracks, right? And I spelled at the end of it is Trax, it was because of where I come from, the dogs were a thing and blah, blah, blah. But, the tracks thing has always been in my mind, it's
right.
Like so.
It became a part of the cultural lexicon. That's what really happened, is it did become a part of the cultural lexicon. And then the red and white, there's a reason for that, is because Larry would get this stuff wholesale. He has a particular red that he used. I forget what the color, it has a number. And then, when I started running the label or being the president of it, which was back in 1997. I mean, there were a lot of things that went on in between, crazy lawsuits and people trying to take over, but let's forget about all that. Let's just talk about why we maintained the image. Is when I came back and did that, I said, we have an established look. And people know when they see that red and white label and Trax, the way it looks with the Helvetica, they know this is quality dance music. And that is what we represent. It's no different than if Coca-Cola decided to change everything. Why would they?
Yeah.
Because people love it. And that's the way I feel about Trax. But like I said, Trax, everything that happened was more like a happy accident, but it developed into a brand. People spend multi-millions and billions on doing market research to develop brands. But ours was a happy accident that through the years made quality music and established a brand.
It sold itself, right?
Yes, that's the miracle of it all. And to this day, I think the reason why so many people have tried to take over and buy the company and all these things is because they recognize it's almost to them, especially these bigger companies that try to do that, they come to me as though, we can do it better. They want to buy a legacy. But my fear of that, because even though so many people say, well, you could be on a yacht, you could be doing this or that, or you could be just focusing on your own singing career, your own music. But the reason that I don't do that is because I think it's so important that the legacy remain true and keep developing with this purity that it has. We're not trying to sign people because they have 20 million followers or 1 million followers. We're trying to put out good music in our own way. We don't do things like other labels do. And once we're gone, who will be left?
Yeah. So, yourself what makes you move. Like, you've obviously got a fantastic A&R team behind you, like George and stuff, so there's
well we do, and now we're working with Olivier and Greg and Thad. We have some new people that we're working with that are also excellent, and I do a lot of my own A&R too, because really I meet people, and sometimes it's just the vibe of a person that I meet, even sometimes before I even hear their music. Luckily, sometimes with me anyway, there has been a vibe about the person, and it comes through in their music. I've been really lucky that way. And I don't, like a lot of times because I deal with major labels. I'm distributed by one, but that's besides the point. They don't try to change me. They don't try to tell me what to do. They don't invest in me because they don't own my label, but they'll put the music out there. But, you know, I won't get all the fancy promotion and things that other labels get. We really have to depend upon our fans supporting us because we don't have it very easy. But, you know, I go to these places and I see how they deal with music. They look at how old is the person? What does the person look like? You know, I've had people say, oh, well, yeah, you know, I'm interested in buying the label. I even had people who said, I'd buy half the label. You can still stay in. But then I said, so now, if that were to happen, what would you do? Well, we'd have to change everything. We'd have to, you know, I don't like these artists because you've got artists, these guys have beards. They're no, you know, we shouldn't have these artists that have beards. That doesn't look good. That looks old. We need to get rid of, and I said, so you mean to tell me you'd get rid of all my artists that I have right now because you don't like, and essentially, yes. So I didn't want that to happen. And then there were people that even said, well, we have to replace you. You can be an artist on the label, but just, you know, you're a woman and you're a Caucasian woman. That's not going to work. You need to be replaced by an African-American male, you know? And I just thought that was sick. Not that it's bad to be an African-American male, but that, God, how prejudiced can you be? What are we trying to do in this world, you know?
Well,
can't we?
I mean, it's a bit kind of disrespectful to you in a way because
very disrespectful.
As a woman in such a male-dominated, you know, scene, like what you and Sylvia before you, where you know you got kind of mentored and you know got ideas and inspiration from that have ended up being the people that are responsible for hip-hop and the people that are responsible for house music. Like, I don't think a lot of people would actually realise that, right?
No, they don't. And it's kind of sad because if you think about it, there needs to be other women that get to do this in the future. And that's another reason that I hold on to what I hold on to. Because, yes, it's very disrespectful. In fact, the person that did that had, you know, because they wanted to buy 50% and said you can stay, but these are the rules. And, you know, I just gave them back their money. They had already given me money. And I said, no. And I mean, most people would not do that. Because when people get a significant amount of money in their hands, and, you know, they hadn't given me all the money yet, but I just said, I'm not going to do that. And you need to apologize to me because that is sexist, it's racist, it's wrong. I did this. And I'm not going to hide the fact that I did it because they also said, you know, you'll have to sign an amendment now before you get the rest of the money. And this amendment, you can't give interviews unless we give you permission. You can't put pictures out of yourself unless we give you permission. And that was like, okay, so I can never tell my story. That's not worth any amount of money because I hope my story will inspire other women and other people, not only women, but people who don't necessarily have very much because I didn't come from money or anything. Trax didn't come from money. Yeah. The label itself, the way we were born is a miracle in today's world. And the fact that we're still around is an even bigger miracle, you know? So we're an anomaly in our business. And I think that it's an important thing that we need to stay around and we need to prove to other people it can be done. You can do it. It is possible.
Yeah, but together though, back then, right, you all still together had the vision that this could be done, right? Like,
yes.
Like no one was doing it. Like it was a new thing, you know. Like you didn't know how it was going to be. Like nobody knew how house music was going to be received around the world, right? It was just to be played in the clubs, you know, by Larry Levan and like all these DJs just wanted some new music to play themselves, so they were making this stuff, right?
Right. We didn't know, but there was a feeling that I had, and I think there was a feeling that, you know, at first when we did it, it's interesting because right now I'm working on a documentary. And it's kind of controversial because some of the haters that have this weird idea of me being rich and things that is not true, because I lost my condo. I lost a lot saving this label because it was something I believed in and I wasn't going to change just because bigger people in the industry tried to get me out or because other people resented me because I was a woman doing what I did. I wasn't going to change. Or there were some people that, you know, I even had some people that worked for me that said, well, you shouldn't represent house music because you're white. I mean, you know, stuff like that, which I sang the first record. I'm sorry, I can't change the color of my skin. But yet a lot of my best friends are African American, and if it hadn't been for the hip hop people, I wouldn't have done hip house. And it was a cultural exchange. My life has been a cultural exchange, starting with the Space Place and the Warehouse. Cultural exchange of people who would have probably never got together, but got together in the Warehouse District of Chicago and changed the history of music.
I mean, this is the thing, right? So, I mean, the early clubs, like the stuff in New York, the Studio 54s and stuff like that, I mean, this was now turning into a place, like, because we, you know, the disco and stuff is all born out of the gay culture, like the house music scene was now that mix of people that could go out, be who they wanted to be. People were going into a dark warehouse. It didn't matter. If the beat was pumping, people were dancing, smiling at one another. And that's what broke down all them barriers. You know, what was achieved back then, like, which happened equally here in the UK, right? The rave scene, that was a big thing. All the, you know, I used to go to all the M25 parties that you hear about where there was a field, you dance all night till the sun comes up, you know. Right. It was the power of the people. Like, the police couldn't stop what we were doing. Like, the energy that, you know, I'm sure the people that were making the money on the back end of it were having a good time, right? But the whole thing of waiting for the weekend to go out and to dance, you know, like to just go out, have a good time. And, you know, I can't tell you how many nights I've gone out and danced with a stranger all night, never spoke to them again, ever again. You know, it's just that thing of creating that good vibe for everybody. Well,
I think so. And I think what you said about like Studio 54 and all that being stuffy, because remember, a lot of people couldn't even get inside Studio 54. I don't know, that was before my time, but so I never went there or tried to go there. But, you know, the thing about house and these warehouses, and even what you experienced in the UK, was that you didn't have to be all dressed up. You didn't have to be rich. You didn't have to look a certain way to enjoy this music. It was like everybody. You could be rich. There were rich people that liked to go. There were poor people that liked to go. There were people, all types of people. And it's that melting pot of the movement of the music that changed the world, all around the world. That's what happened.
Yeah. I mean, this is the thing, right? It's like what you started, you know, in your little, like, I don't know, it's hard for me to imagine, like, what it must mean to you, like, what, when you step back and think, wow, look at all these millions of clubs there are around the world playing this music now. Like, that would never have happened if you guys hadn't got together and started doing what you were doing, right?
It's kind of amazing. And then the other thing that we haven't even touched on is that Trax Records was the first label that put the DJ's name on the record. And now we have a superstar DJ culture. I don't know necessarily how I feel about this idea of superstar DJs. I don't feel good or bad. It's just that we were the first people that did it, that recognized the DJ as being the main artist of a record. Because before us, it would always be the vocalists, right? They were the main thing. And then when people like Farley Jack Master Funk made Love Can't Turn Around, and whose record, the name was on the record was Farley. It was not Daryl Pandy, even though Daryl Pandy was genius, and rest in peace because he's no longer with us. But it's interesting how it all became a culture and how grassroots it was and how it was just a bunch of kids that, and I think part of the reason why the sound became what it did was because music had become so sophisticated with studios that were costing back then. Okay, studios were costing $300 an hour to go to a really nice one. And that was in the 80s. So imagine that. And so people started, we were actually the first generation of computer-driven music and using like machines to make music, you know, the 808, the 909, the 303, the acid machine. We were the first generation that started that. But that all came about because of people who couldn't afford the expensive studios, couldn't afford the expensive clubs. It was a culture born out of a necessity and that brought people together of all social stratospheres and all races and all countries. And just, it's interesting how it all came together, I think out of a need, you know?
You probably saved Roland with you could, when DJ Pierre used the 303. Like, you should get into Roland and say, actually, I think you should sort us out.
I know we've done, and now they've, you know, now they've re-released the acid machine. Of course, that's a new thing. It's you know, because now everybody takes you know, uses their keyboard to use samples and they do it that way. But now the machines are coming back that people want those machines again. And so they've remade it. And yeah, I mean, we influenced a lot of things. And I think it came about a lot because of the necessity of doing this whole DIY thing. And I think that like disco music itself had gotten so sophisticated and so perfect that when songs like No Way Back came out, they hit really big because it was like, what the fuck is this? What the bleep is this?
Now, No Way Back has always been one of my favourite tracks. Like it's like to me, right? That's the essence of Chicago. Like that sound is Chicago. That's just a simple, like it's house music in its essence. Just a very simple vocal line. Just a great beat, that 303, just driving that beat. It's a simple track. It's probably like 6 or 7, 8 tracks maybe, you know, but it's just it's very difficult for records to capture that essence, even now. Like, you know, I can listen to a million house music tracks before one comes along that, you know,
it grabs you.
That's special.
Well, that's true. It's a magic record. And what really changed people at the time was, think about it, it was like, you know, because I at the time being in New York, even though I wasn't one of those people, I met a lot of, because of being signed to Streetwise by Apache Ramos, I met a lot of really big producers. Like I met Gene McFadden, who did, you know, The Backstabbers and Ain't No Stopping Us Now and other songs. And when he heard this house music, he said, what is this garbage? This isn't music, just like that. And there were a lot of people, you know, they would hear something like Fun with Bad Boys. Oh, what is that? Bring it back when it's finished. I remember that, Curtis Urbina from Emergency Records that had Shannon Let the Music Play. When I brought him Fun with Bad Boys before it was on a label, right? He said, well, it's kind of okay, but bring it back when it's finished. I said, it is finished. It's house music. So that raw element of Bad Boys, of No Way Back, those records, people weren't used to hearing that, but yet the dancers and the clubs loved it. That's what happened, is that all these sophisticated records I don't know. I guess it got boring to people. And then when they heard this fresh sound that was all stripped down to the bare bones and minimal, the people loved it in the clubs. And then this Curtis, who said, bring it back when it's done, he started his own house record called Quark, his label that is. And now, you know, if you would talk to him, he's like all about house music. But, you know, he'll tell you, he'll say, you know, Rachel came in my office and she brought me this thing and I thought it didn't sound like it was done. And she said, it's done. It's house music. And it changed him. I changed so many people. When I look back at people like Little Louis Vega, who are now such huge stars, I don't, you know if they'd even give me the credit of doing what I did by bringing them these first records and them like, you know, I know Little Louis Vega put on, it was his birthday one day at the Fun House in New York. And he immediately, when I gave him Fun with Bad Boys to Vinyl, he put it on right away. He listened in the headphones and then he just put it on, you know,
yeah.
And people loved it. And I've had that happen a number of times. And it's so funny to see how these people have changed. People like Jelly Bean Benitez, who did all the early Madonna. Now he's like house, and he does his live performances. He calls it "Ain't Nothing But a House Party." But you know, all that happened because of what we did. I mean, it changed people.
Yeah, I mean, people like just from who don't understand house music, but they really can't see what great things that you and Trax Records have, you know, how you fundamentally have just changed a lot of people's lives. People like mine, you know, like going out clubbing, like the drum and bass and all the other stuff that's emerged from that basic, what originated from replacing disco music with orchestras and stuff to stuff that you could do with electronic music, hooking them up in your bedroom and recording.
Yeah.
And, you know, and that's what people are still doing today, right? There's, you know, there's a million artists that are recording music now with the ability of today's age with the internet and stuff to be able to make your own record and release it, you know. But it's like everything else, it's still getting the audience engagement, right? You know, at least Trax Records are so fundamentally grounded that, you know, probably whatever you release, you've got a massive fan base that are gonna, you know, you're gonna at least recoup a certain amount, and then everything else is the additional ongoing sales as people, you know, still find Trax Records. Like people that I know that don't know house music particularly well, that I say Trax Records. People know Trax Records.
That's the magic of it. I think that's why everybody wants to take it from me, because they know we established a brand, but we didn't establish a brand the way other people do. We didn't do market research. We didn't invest millions of dollars. We did it by a happy accident and reality, grassroots growing it. And that's why it's so special to not just hand it over to people that don't understand it, know what it is, and people that want to just go in there, change it, sign a bunch of artists that just have millions of followers. And it's, you know, I just don't want to see that happen. I hope that doesn't happen. But it's been a struggle. And I think if there's anything that's been, you know, the major struggle has been people not understanding why I do what I do, or even like appreciating it, or having this idea that I'm this rich lady, which I'm not, you know, and just having the wrong idea about what it is. And it's really, to me, about preserving something that still needs to exist, that people still need to know is a possibility, and that people still need to have hope that they can do it too, and that maybe other women will start doing this. You know, there's a lot of reasons I do what I do, but it's mostly for the love. It's certainly not the money.
Do you ever think about you've started something now that is never going to go away? You know, you're you're the same as like when we talk about rock and roll, right? Like, you know, it's just a thing. Well, it's rock and roll music. Like people say, oh, it's house music. Like, how does that make you feel to think that you're going to go on forever? Like, house music's going to be there forever now, the same as rock and roll. It's never going away, right?
Well, it makes me feel good because there are a lot of people that have said to me, you know, Rachel, you are a great artist. And why did you choose to, instead of just focusing on your art, where you could have been like Madonna or anybody else, because that's what they say, you could have been major, just if you would have focused only on yourself. But I feel like I did something greater than that in my own way. It didn't give me the riches and didn't give me maybe the fame, but I think I did something really important because I helped to establish a genre that has changed the world for the better. And for that, I do feel very proud.
Well, you've brought more people together than if you'd have done your own solo career, just releasing singles, right?
Yeah, I mean, to be part of a movement, to me, is more important than being just a major star, I guess, because I just think it's the movement of house music is important to the world for so many reasons. Because it is black, white, gay, straight, young, old, everybody. It is about that. It is about acceptance around the world. It is about spreading good vibes and love. It hasn't been poisoned. Like, you know, I was reading an interesting article about what happened in hip hop. That's why people like, you know, Melly Mel and other people that I know don't even call rap hip hop because they had, you know, they had the big corporate people go in and change it to guns, hoes, gold, all that, you know, taking it away from fun, social consciousness, and party, you know. And that is great because that hasn't happened in house music. I'm so happy about that. I'm happy that we have a genre that hasn't been totally poisoned, and I hope we can keep it that way. That, you know, I think that what does help keep it that way is this independence. And I see all these, even the new like labels, like people made a lot of talk about Dirty Bird and how important they were and all this. Well, Dirty Bird already got sold. What is it? Defected is already like sold. All these labels, Nervous, they're all, you know, sold. Some of them still exist, but they're all under different management. I don't know if there's anybody that's been around as long as us that's not gobbled up. So it's important.
I mean, I guess that shows your integrity to tracks, to house music, to the people, you know, like that you've had that opportunity. You could have had that golden egg and just washed your hands of it, concentrated on your own career a bit more and, you know, gone off doing, you know, people don't know that you do other stuff other than, you know, you're not only the owner of Trax Records, you're not only Screamin' Rachael, an artist in herself, like you're telling me, you're a journalist, you're an actress. Like, there's so many strings to your bow that you just shine in all of them. Like, it's great to see that someone has that drive and energy, and here we are, you know, all a bit older and still have that same feeling that he gave us back when it all started. You know, that's the most incredible thing. Like, the most incredible thing is, you know, you put on a Frankie Knuckles, Your Love track, right? And wherever you are, right, the audience are going to go wild and you're going to tap your feet and you're going to sing along to it. And like, it's just things that are, there's so many cornerstones of house music that are attached to Trax Records. It must make you very proud for that.
It does, and the thing is, I'm proud that I believe that house music can keep people young. Now they're doing actual scientific studies that are saying this beat. I mean, they're actually doing studies that are saying what I kind of always knew. I think it keeps people sharp and young, and I think it's very good for people, for their health. I think it's very good for their attitude. I just hope more people will realize, because again, now I see people trying to push an agenda, and I can't stand people pushing agendas, trying to say, well, house music. I'm sorry, but house music has been all races. It's not just primarily only black people. Yes, there's been a lot of black people in house music, and probably predominantly, but I'm proud of who I am, and I'm not ashamed of my race. And I'm proud of, I think it's fine that all these European DJs are now doing house. I think that's fine. So I think, house is a universal thing. It's not a division of race, and it shouldn't be. And it's not a division of age, and it should not be that either. That's what I'm proud of, is that it's for everybody all around the world.
See, that's interesting to me, right? Because the same thing in the UK. It was like, it didn't matter that all these artists and these DJs, like, it was the music, right? It was the music that was bringing everyone together. And if anything, it would have made people maybe that were a bit racist have more respect for, actually, like, I go out and dance to this guy, I go out and see this DJ. I can't wait. Frankie Knuckles is playing in London. Oh, fantastic. Like, I'm going to go and pay $15 or $20 to go and see him, and, it's going to line his pocket. So it did break down, and it has broken down a lot of those barriers. Like, there isn't those barriers. Like, I'm going to recorrect that. There isn't those barriers in house music.
No, there isn't. And that's the whole thing. And let's not, I think that people want to create those barriers. People are just, I don't know. We're in a weird time, politically in the United States, and just a weird time in general, where I don't know why these agendas are being pushed that I think are trying to separate people. But if anything, I hope to continue house music along the lines of that we're all together. Because I know there were some people that didn't like me because I was Caucasian, but I was friends with all the people from the Universal Zulu Nation, and also a member myself. They thought, she's radical. She's a member of a gang. They never saw that, no, Universal Zulu Nation was for all races, for everybody. It wasn't about if you were black or if you were white. But people looked at me and thought, gee, she's weird. Look at who she's hanging out with all the time. And then, I've gotten it from all sides. And then now I'm getting it from the side of, gee, she represents house music and she's white. So I'm sorry, but I think we should all be equal and together. And that's the way I see it.
I mean, the origins of it really come from street kids, right? Living in the poorer areas, buying the musical equipment that they could afford to do this stuff on, right? It was one person had a record deck, a guy had a mixer, someone else had a record deck. Oh, let's have a street party. That's how it was. It wasn't organised like it is now. You couldn't go out on a Saturday night. There wasn't 50 clubs to choose from. It was who was having a party, or which DJ or sound system were playing that weekend, right?
True. I think it's really been a youth explosion when it began, out of a necessity of people who wanted to make music but didn't have a lot of money to make it. And also, I think that people were beginning to be more accepting of one another. I think today's political climate, they're trying to change that. I see that. I see the way, things are going on in other places in the world where they're trying to, pit these different races of people against each other. These people are bad. These people are bad. Those people are bad. And that's really a shame, because I think that house music was always about bringing people together, and I hope it always remains that way. I hope that that's the agenda I want to see. I don't want to see an agenda.
So how would you like to preserve house music's history and like giving it a permanent home in Chicago? Is that something that you would like to do?
I think it's really important that the true story is told, you know, and I think that if there is one day a museum, I'm sure that there will be. The sad thing about it is there's so many things that I wish I could do. I don't have the money or the power to make them happen. The only power that I have will be, hopefully, from the fans, you know, continuing to support the label. Well, I'm doing what I believe in. You know, I'm living for my beliefs, and I'm trying to hope that other people will appreciate them, and hopefully we will change the world for the better and continue changing it for the better. That's my mantra.
Thank you so much, Rachel. I'm not going to take up all of your day today. It's Christmas Eve. I truly could chat to you for hours and hours and hours, but I don't want to take all your day up and all your time. I'm sure you've got family and dogs to feed and stuff to do. Like,
oh, yeah.
So I'd like to wrap this up by saying I'm incredibly feel privileged to talk to you, to share your experience, to have your say on such what I think is an important thing, and a lot of people also equally find important. Thank you for what you've brought to everyone. You know, I truly do thank you and genuinely mean that.
And I hope everyone loves my DJ sets because I play the music I love, and I hope they enjoy it too.
Fantastic.
So thank you, yes.
No, it's been incredible for me. Like, it's, you know, if you could pick out, you know, who could you spend an afternoon or a lunch with? Like, this is definitely like a special moment for me. So I appreciate that, Rachel.
And I appreciate you. So everybody have a happy holiday, and let's hope we
have a happy holiday, everyone.
Yes.
I hope you have a wonderful Christmas, and you have all that success in the new year. I know you've got special nominations. I don't know if I could talk about it or not, with tracks coming up next year.
Well, we hope that, you know, things turn out well for us. We've got a lot of irons in the fire, and we'll see. It depends on you, the fans, and showing us some love and believing in us. But I would
everybody track some love, because they've been there from the start. They're still there doing it now, and they're an incredible outfit. Like, they're run incredibly, and they bring us such good music. So yeah, look for tracks, look for our vinyl, look for my column called Uncensored in BOI magazine, and listen to my new radio show. This is going to be a wonderful 2026 for all of us, I hope. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, from Chicago, the home of house music, and the face of house music's founding record label Trax Records that launched the genre to the international stage, get ready to move your body and make some noise for the queen of house music, Miss Screamin' Rachel!
Shake it, baby. so addicted. In the morning when I wake, I need my fix. I just can't wait. I'm so addicted. I'm so addicted.
goes out to.
And Jack had a groove, and from this groove came the grooves of all grooves. And while one day viciously throwing down on spots, Jack Golden declared, let there be house, and house music was born. I am, you see, I am the creator, and this is my house. And in my house there is only house music, but I am not
Take me on a trip. Take me on a trip. Take me back to the explosion that created the world. Take me back to the beginning of time. Feel the spirit. Let it flow. Spirits rising from the very bottom of my toes, down, down, down to the earth. Under my feet, I feel the spirit rising towards the top of my head, through the top of my head to the sky. Now people, can you feel it? Do you know how it feels to let go? Oh people in the house now, do you know how it feels to let go? I feel the spirit coming. I feel the spirit coming your way. I said it's time. I said it's time to let go. Oh, oh, oh.
That sound like it makes sense. Be wrong. Do not have this, that. Do not out. Most of all, our house is funky. special. Oh yeah. Yeah, special. Oh yeah, special. Oh yeah. Yeah, special. Oh yeah.
very much for listening. This is Russ 8889 on Rhythm Republic Radio, and this was a DJ set by Screamin Rachael herself. I'm so honoured and privileged to have been able to have spent time talking with Rachael this evening. Thank you so much. Good night. Happy New Year, everyone.